Okay, so good afternoon. My name is Laura Szilagyi, and this is Abigail Myers. We are the co-chairs of the Venice Neighborhood Council Santa Monica Ad Hoc Airport Committee. Our committee was formed in 2010, but I've lived in Venice since 1973. Over the years, the problems created by Santa Monica Airport have escalated, and with more flights and more jets. The sheer volume of when I took tennis lessons at this park, Penmar Park. The planes took off every couple of minutes and were so loud that my teacher had to use pantomime to communicate. And depending on where you live in Venice, the noise can be constant, with the plane simultaneously taking off while others are flying over your home. In 2010, our committee's first action was to survey 300 residents about the effects of Santa Monica Airport on their lives. These are Venice residents. To sum up their concerns, they were noise, environmental hazards, and safety issues. We held 2 rallies. The Peace and Quiet Vigil celebrated the temporary closing of the Santa Monica Airport for runway repairs. And those few days of quiet were a revelation. We also held an Earth Day demonstration against the use of leaded fuel in propeller planes that fly over us in Venice, Mar Vista, West LA. The EPA banned leaded fuel from use in automobiles in the Clean Air Act of 1996, yet we still have exposure from it from propeller aircraft fuel. Our committee members met with federal, state, and local officials to find out what can be done to protect us from the damaging effect from the airport. First and foremost, we met with Bill Rosendahl, whose staunch support and help has been invaluable in keeping up our morale.
Thank you.
We met with Jane Harmon, former U.S. representative, and Henry Waxman, our current representative. Also with Ted Lieu, who represents Venice in the state senate. And we've met with all the candidates who are running in the upcoming mayoral and city attorney elections to educate them about our issue and ask for their help. At our meeting, and this is really significant for those of us in Venice, at our meeting with the director and staff of the FAA Western Pacific Region Airports Division, we learned that the propeller planes that fly by visual flight rules are allowed to fly out of Santa Monica either to the north or the south, as long as they do not encroach on LAX airspace. Thus, the Santa Monica Fly Neighborly program that shunts these planes south over Venice, then east over Mar Vista, is solely a Santa Monica City policy. They direct negative impacts over Venice and its Los Angeles neighbors instead of over their own residents. As a committee, we have learned some other very significant things about the airport. We learned that since the 1980s, there have been 83 accidents involving planes from the airport. 25 were from flight schools. And since 2004, accidents average 1 every 6 months. I personally saw the wreckage of 2 of the most recent accidents. One plane on impact buried itself in the Venice golf course, narrowly missing golfers on the ground and resulting in the pilot's death. The other crash in Sunset Park, where injured people on the ground pulled the pilot from the smoldering wreckage. We learned that the 6 flight schools account for at least 40% of the aviation activity from SMO, and their planes use leaded fuel. We strongly advocate for the closing of those schools when their leases expire. And we learned that there are insufficient buffer zones at both ends of the airport to accommodate the large types of jet aircrafts used at this airport. This increases the potential for catastrophic accidents if one of those planes, when departing or landing, plowed into a neighborhood residential area on either end of the runway. And we learned about the deleterious effects of noise pollution, especially on children's health and learning, the implications to health by the use of leaded fuel, and the terrible consequences from jet fuel that spew ultraviolet particles of black carbon into the air in our neighborhoods. One of the most profound statements was made by Dr. Richard Jackson, chair of the Environmental Health Sciences at UCLA, who could not be here today, but said simply, land use is a health issue. The more we learn, the more impossible it is to understand how this airport continues to operate in such a densely populated area. It serves the wealthy at the expense of everyone else. The fact is, there is no way to mitigate the negative impacts of Santa Monica Airport except to close it.
We have put together this forum for those affected by the airport, for all of us to hear information that will make us more informed about the effects this airport has. We invited our representatives so that they learn more and answer questions about their positions. We want them to actively support the citizens they represent. The Venice Neighborhood Council wants to work in supporting the closure of the airport, and if not possible, the downsizing of it, and moving the negative impacts away from the citizens of Los Angeles, and to work with Santa Monica residents and the city to achieve the best possible results for all of us on the ground. I want to thank our committee, Braden Stevens, Mindy Taylor-Ross, Sarah Dennison, Margarita Alvarez, Ingrid Mueller,
Yay!
Ed McQueenie.
Where are you, Ed?
Hi, Ed. Eric Sincor. And my co-chair, Laura Salaji, for all the time and hard work you do on behalf of all of us. I would also like to thank Amanda Seward, who was the previous co-chair, along with Laura. And thank you, Tony Oranga, pronounced that wrong, I'm sorry, Cecilia Castillo, and the Channel 35 staff. And Mark Salzberg has the floor. This is the Vice President of the Venice Neighborhood Council.
Hi, I'm Mark Salzberg, Vice President of the Venice Neighborhood Council, and I just wanted to recognize some of the folks in the audience that have helped with this event, even if they're just helping in spirit. They're supporting us, and it's great. So from the Santa Monica City Council, we've got Tony Vasquez, Ted Winter, and Lane Davis. From the Venice Neighborhood Council, Hugh Harrison and Helen Stotler. From the Mar Vista Neighborhood Council, Community Council, Bill Kuntz and Sharon Cummins. And we have Eli Lippman here, who is the president of the Palms Neighborhood Council. And finally, I want to thank all the staff who are helping the electeds that are here. Chad Molnar, Norman Kula, Cecilia Castillo, and Len Nguyen from CD11. Thanks a lot, guys. And Robert Pullen Miles is here from Ted Liu's office. And of course, I want to thank our great co-chairs. You guys have done a terrific job organizing all this, and the whole committee.
Thank you. I just have a little more. We want to thank Bill Kuntz from the Mar Vista Community Council and all the volunteers that came out today. Last but not least, we thank the businesses of our area for donating food and drink. Please thank them again. There are index cards on the tables for you to write questions for the politicians. Please grab those, do what you can, and we'll walk around collecting them. We will have a sheet for you to write action ideas, which we'll compile and post. Since you signed in with your emails, we will send you those action ideas as soon as the list is completed. Please sign our petition. The petitions are outside as well. Help yourself to the food and drink donated by our businesses, and please frequent them. Thank you. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce Councilman Bill Rosendahl.
Thank you.
He is our most trusted and enthusiastic leader to close the airport. He knows the issues well and will speak about his efforts and hopes. Thank you.
Give Abigail a round of applause. She's got a real positive energy. I love it. Give Laura a round of applause for her fighting and tenacious. I'm going to give eggs out to a few people because that's very important. First, Kurt and Haldus Topple, two of the leading fighters for our rights in the Palisades. Kurt just came out of St. John's. He and I were buddies in St. John's at the same time at the moment, and we're both very happy to be out. And the two of you have been an amazing leadership. One of you, come on up and you take the eggs. Okay? They get a couple other colored eggs in the others. If you got the backyard and you got the greens, my green scraps now come from Whole Foods. So they're organic all the way around. And we love you for everything you've done for everybody.
Thank you so much.
You and your husband.
Oh, my God.
Good. Show the eggs to make people realize the value of it.
The greatest councilman ever, Bill Rosendahl.
Okay, thank you. Now, I want to give it to Maureen and Ed. Maureen Whalen, get up here, Maureen. Maureen is a tough, fighting woman. Women don't have basic civil and human rights and make as much money as men do in this planet today. And this is one woman that has fought for women's rights and community rights all of her life. My dear friend and colleague, Maureen Whalen.
Bill and I have been fighting this airport for a long time. 30 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
In this very room,
here's
we've
another
had
one.
meetings.
We've been in this room more than we want to admit. Okay, but Maureen, count on her. Thank you, Maureen. Love you so much. Tough fighter for what's right. And just to get rid of all this business before anything else happens. He doesn't know it all, but he knows more than I know about LAX. He knows more than I know about how city government works, how the left and the right and the bureaucrats and the thises and the that's operate. Someone who I'm very proud of, who will succeed me in this job. He's asked me to swear him in with the new mayor and the old mayor and him in the middle. Mike Bonin deserves these eggs, and he gets the turkey egg. Oh, yeah. Right there, Mike. All right, break. Okay, let's get down to serious business, folks. This is going to be fun. And I truly call this democracy at its best. First, the 3 council members from Santa Monica, with 4 of their others, make 7, right? If you come to 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, you start getting real action in that city. When Tony Vasquez ran again and got elected, he ran on a platform that brought this airport into serious question. He won. Now, Tony, introduce who's here with you and why you guys are here today.
We're all out of our side. We're very concerned about what the airport's doing now in San Juan.
Frankly, the fact that the council is here and they hear this presentation, they hear the interaction, it will have a dramatic impact on how their leadership forms itself and acts on it the following week. I will be there when the council acts that day, and I will speak again in public at their council meeting. But let me just put things in a quick perspective here, okay? Does anybody remember the name Mike Gordon? Raise your hand. Mike Gordon was an assembly member, a good man, a man who really cared about issues. He gets elected, and he turns around and he says, now we're going to spend our energy getting Bill Rosendahl elected. And he put his energy out there. He ends up dying. Ted Lieu ends up taking that seat. Ted Lieu comes in with the same energy and spirit that Mike Gordon had put in place for us. The next historic footnote is Jenny Orpeza. I supported Jenny Orpeza when she ran for state senate against George Nakano. Antonio Villaraigosa supported George Nakano, and I said, whoopee-doo, you know, I'm supporting Jenny Orpeza for several reasons. Strong, tough woman, an independent fighter. She wasn't tied into Villaraigosa and his machine and all that. She was an independent spirit. And I like independent spirits. And so I endorsed her strongly. And she became my champion for a lot of things in Sacramento and for all of us here in the room. Unfortunately, she passed. Cancer got her. I know cancer. And Ted Lieu then became a state senator. But when Jenny was there, she stopped Measure R and held it. And she held it in her committee. She's on budget. And told this Antonio and Fuhr and all these other big shots who wanted Measure R passed, Yaroslavsky, until you put the green line in there, because she's from the South Bay, and put it into the airport, duh, and make it your lead part of Measure R, I can't support it. So about 11 o'clock the night before, Zeb's calling me, Antonio's calling me, you know, Bill, blah, 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 blah. I said, yes, sir, she's right. It's a no-brainer. It's the damn green line that's a mile and a half from the airport. We have no light rail into the damn airport. We're the only major city in the world that doesn't have that. Hello? So anyhow, we put it in. Of course, when they did polling, they found out it ranked #1. People all understood that. I don't give it called the green line, and now we got the new line called the Metro line, which we really want to. We want it to stop in Westchester, stop in Lamar Park, go downtown, go into the airport. So our dream is to get 2 light rails into LAX, the green line and the Crenshaw line, into where the terminal area is now, and get on a people mover and go to those gates and have a happy day, get on your plane and go away. Okay? It's gonna happen. And we're in the process of moving in that direction. But part of that story also suggests that we do a metro link to Ontario, bring Anaheim into Ontario, bring the Inland Empire into Ontario, go from Santa Barbara to Palmdale into Ontario, and make a link in Ontario. So you get off in the big 8380, you're a big shot, you get in that light rail link, you go right to downtown. So that's part of what we're calling regionalism at its best, okay? We're a region, we're a region, we're a region, we're a region. Now, when we go regional, what about this airport here? Look, I'll be personal, and I'll start with that, and then I'll move it on, bring all the speakers on and everything else. 1968 was the first time I came to this area here. I worked for Bobby Kennedy. I came again in 1972, and again went to Venice Beach. In 1978, I got an apartment at 32 Rose Avenue. Lived there for 2 years, had my birds and canaries, fed the homeless, did all kinds of other things, had a blast, okay? And then I knew the president, a guy named Carter, called the White House, told him the job I wanted. The president appointed me to the State Department. I became Chief of Operations of the U.S. Trade and Development Program, combination of foreign aid and trade, and I loved it. It's where both Republicans and Democrats won by doing foreign aid with the hope of getting American contracts for ongoing procurement. A lot of fun. Great president. Had a great time. Well, how did I get out here? Why did I take it so seriously? Well, I loved L.A. from the beginning. I loved Venice from the beginning. I loved the climate. I thought of my 2 years on Venice Beach with Phyllis as my next door neighbor. And then when I came back to LA as a cable executive, I bought a house on Dimmock, 234 North Dimmock, between 5th and 6th. Little did the jerk know that this little town Santa Monica are flying all the damn planes over my house. And just a half a block away is the city of Santa Monica. I said, wait a minute, this doesn't equate. It's their town, it's their airport. All takeoffs and landings should go over their town and their community and leave the others. I started to get angrier and angrier, and I'll just tell you, this is a true story. They kept coming over my house every 3 minutes, these little later types, you know, with the toxic lead in them, and the chronic noise, and the shaking sometimes of hitting the house almost as it's coming in. I said, Lord, have mercy. And I would walk 50 yards and I'd be in heaven. Santa Monica. And as we also know how quickly that town moved in development, we have 200,000 cars coming through our district to go to work in Santa Monica every day. Okay, but they didn't build enough affordable housing in Santa Monica, so people are schlepping from the east side, west side. Everybody's schlepping in through our area into Santa Monica. It's okay, I like jobs. We need jobs. Okay. But we need to work together too. We need to have an appreciation of each other and that we're all in this together. My goal is this, and I'm going to stay with this until I'm out of office. And God willing, everything continues. I'm going to live another 20 or 30 years. But I want to close. There's a reason I didn't die last year, you know. I can come back and be even feistier in this new moment in my existence. And we all learn that all we have is the moment to begin with. I knew that, I lived that, but boy, when you really just have only the moment, it is a pretty scary moment. And by the grace of God and great doctors, Melanie over there at St. John, she's fabulous. She kept saying, take pot, take pot, take pot, take pot. Now, I'll be honest with you, I haven't done any pot today. But I can tell you when I get home tonight, yes. And the one thing that people used to complain about with pot, the paranoia, I don't get no paranoia no more. I have been so public about this, it's all over the world. Because I actually think marijuana is medicinal, and I don't think it should be criminal and criminalized. We're destroying these kids with it. That's another story. Another story. Okay, let me start to move quickly. They're pulling the cane. A couple of things. One day I was about to go to Dick Reardon's new thing, setting up there on Sunset, you know, his restaurant there, and I hear a crash. Oh, you know, and now when I hear crashes or hear fire, it's like it wakes me up out of bed. So I said, what's going on? I find out a plane had just crashed. You know, I don't like that applause because one thing happened. I saw the guy. There he is, dead. A 62-year-old guy, dead. And then I heard the background story of what he was doing and how he was doing it. He's an expert pilot, but he was testing this and testing that. And you know, one of the people that also besides killing himself. I said, God bless him, may he rest in peace. But he could have, besides killing himself, he could have killed golfers. He could have killed people in houses right before the golf course or right after the golf course. I mean, this is a serious airport that could cause serious issues. Oh, well. All right, we're going to do this in several phases. I want you first to listen and interact. If you have any edit questions, please do. But remember, my ultimate goal, if we can pull this off, is that this airport doesn't belong here anymore, and there are options of which we can deal with it over the next couple of 3 years, so that by 2015, it conceivably closed. The real leadership will come from this room. The electeds in Santa Monica, working in cooperation with the residents of Los Angeles. We embrace the city of Santa Monica. We don't surround it. We're one big family here. We're in a region. Beverly Hills, West Hollywood, Santa Monica, Culver City, LA County. We're all together here, and we need to work and cooperate with each other on every issue we do. And I want to introduce Marty Rubin first. Marty Rubin lives right on the other side of the airport. Marty and Joan are the ones who get the toxic jet idle. You got a damn jet idle because it's tied into the LAX flight pattern, which it shouldn't be to begin with. And the jet is idling, and the jets weren't even there 20 years ago. When you hear the line about Isla saying we were here first, no. The Indians were here first, folks. Things do change, everything changes, planning changes, things don't stay the same, ever.
And what we ought to do as human beings is go with the flow, go with the change, go with making things happen in our lifetime that we consider important. And there's nothing wrong with feeling strongly that this airport served its usefulness and go. I actually went on the other side and said shut it down a few years ago when I had enough of the toxicity in that backyard that just made my eyes water, and I said, this is just crazy. It's just either the celebrity super rich or the other super rich who were too lazy to go to Van Nuys or schlep down 10 more minutes to the Imperial Terminal at LAX. And the reality is, this 9/11 over-absorbed behavior, they don't want to be hassled with each other. And so they go here and go there, but they don't have to deal with it. But I can tell you, they can go down to the Imperial Terminal. You don't have to deal with a whole lot of regular people. Or they can go to Van Nuys and fly out of it. There's a bigger buffer zone. But we have no buffer zone. So the toxicity is so bad, it's killing people right now. The other part was where I lived under the toxicity of not only the noise, but the lead from the little plane. These people are suffering serious, serious health issues that have to do with the toxicity of those jets. And Marty Rubin has been with John Rubin. The two of them are joined together. They're an incredible dynamic group. They always think things through together. They agree, disagree. They end up with the right sentence after talking to each other. I mean, it's an amazing dynamic duo. And he comes out of this as the director of the Concerned Residents Against Air Pollution. He's also vice chair of the Mar Vista Airport Committee and vice president of the North Westdale Association. And he's speaking on behalf of the committee that we just mentioned called CRAP, he calls it. Marty Rubin, come on up, baby. You're the best. A fighter for what's right, for all of us. And he hasn't stopped, and he continues to be a hero of mine. Marty Rubin.
Thank you, Bill. Bill is, without question, the best representative we have in government to deal with this issue. So, my topic that I put together for today is Santa Monica Airport's impacts on Los Angeles, the fairness factor. By the way, I would have spent more time, but time is of the essence, and we're behind schedule, and I have 8 minutes to do this, and I'll try my best. But the fact of the matter is, in my experience, the issues covered in this presentation are extremely important, and I'll do my best to get them online, either video or something, if I do not get through it. Some things have been covered, and so I will say that anybody who is not signed up with Concerned Residents Against Airport Pollution, which has the acronym of CRAP, which my wife came up with in 10 minutes when I asked her to come up with an acronym. And by the way, first and foremost, I want to thank my wife, Joan, because we joined together on this more than 10 years ago to address what Bill was saying, all these toxic emissions coming from jet aircraft, the corporate 1% that could care less about what they're doing. Or, well, maybe they could care more. Let's hope they could. So, I have business cards that I brought. So Joan has some, and see me after a bit, and I'll give you that. And you can sign up to be on our contact list. We hook up with pretty much every group that's involved in the airport community group. So, the facts. Well, actually, July 1st, 2015 is the irrefutable date when Santa Monica Airport agreement between the FAA and the City of Santa Monica will expire. To what degree the affected communities are prepared or not prepared to address all concerns is vital in determining the future use of the 227 acres that is now SMO. When discussing the fairness factor, factual information is essential. To make credible arguments, the community needs facts. There's one of those planes now. Over the years, I've learned how difficult gathering facts can be. Understanding what information is accurate and whether the source of the information is credible and can be trusted is indeed a challenge. This afternoon, I want to present some facts that I feel are key to our understanding many issues regarding SMO that Los Angeles residents might be surprised to know, and for that matter, Santa Monica residents. All right, I'm one slide late. You can leave that up a bit while I talk. Facts. We know that SMO is owned and operated by the city of Santa Monica. And the city of Santa Monica maintains proprietary powers to protect the surrounding communities from environmental harm. We know that airports need to follow FAA guidelines, and those guidelines are ultimately approved by Congress. And by the way, Santa Monica has yet to date to address the environmental concerns that Los Angeles residents have brought to them. I know I've brought them for 15 years, and before me, Virginia Ernst wrote letters, and so therefore, Santa Monica and the FAA are clearly established players in determining the operations at SMO. Santa Monica Airport's Fly Neighborly program. All right. Right. Santa Monica, before I go to the Fly Neighborly program, SMO occupies approximately 227 acres situated at the southeastern portion of the city of Santa Monica. City's southern boundary coincides with the airport's southern property line. Can you see it up there, stuffed up in the corner there? You couldn't put it in a more precarious position where the downwind ocean breezes will take all the pollutants from that airport right into Los Angeles. Now, next slide. There's actually a portion of that airport, approximately 34 acres of the airport. The eastern boundary lies within the city of Los Angeles. How many people knew that? This land is owned in fee by the city of Santa Monica. These are all facts. Now, I was mentioning the Fly Neighborly program, which you heard about a little earlier. Well, Venice, Mar Vista, and West Los Angeles, all neighbors of Santa Monica, think it's anything but neighborly. Next. All right, you're right. Sorry. Okay, approximately 1/2 of all the operations at this airport are pattern flights, which are mostly flight training. That's 1/2. Think about that. Pattern flights expose Venice, Mar Vista, and North Westdale primarily, in West LA, to toxic lead from aviation gasoline. Next slide. This shows the pattern flight loop. Approximately half, sometimes more, maybe a little less, go around that loop. And then the other line coming in and going out are your jet operations. You pretty much can see that most flights emanating, coming into Santa Monica Airport are going over Los Angeles. Next slide. Here are some radar images that also show in the red that loop, and in the green is visual departures. Up top are your jet patterns that are coming in and going out. Notice when they go out in green, because I'll be talking about this, they go out straight and then hook a little after they get to the ocean. Next slide. The 250-degree turn. We deserve the facts about this. From Santa Monica Airport's website, and the accuracy of the reason for this change is in question. In 1990, mark that date in your mind when that is, the FAA proposed an amendment to SMO's IFR departure procedures, changing the 250-degree turn immediately after departure, which would take them right over Santa Monica to Santa Monica Pier, to reaching the LAX 310-degree lateral, which takes it out straight down Rose, over the Rose Cafe to the ocean. This change was instituted, according to their website, as a result of the Cerritos air crash The FAA didn't seem to know anything about that when our group from the Venice Neighborhood Council met with them. Facts, prior to 1990 change, next one. All IFR departures flew the 250, that's fact, towards San Juan Beach. Reason for the change that redirected all these aircraft fly straight down roads is in question. Facts, in 1990 there were 1,800 total annual jet operations, half which were takeoffs, half landings. That's about 3 a day. By 2007, that grew to 30 a day, 18,575. That's a 1,000% increase in 17 years to accommodate corporate and private jets. And that runway had to be fixed up in order to do that. Next slide. Oh, this shows the increase in the jet operations. At the lower end, in between the two white spots, is the year it was changed, the takeoff pattern. Next slide. This is from the FAA slideshow that he gave to the Venice Neighborhood Council when we met with them. They want us to know about 250 that they're trying to reinitiate, in part with just piston aircraft. And this was in July 2011. Next slide. This in the red down there, you see your 2 LAX runways, and all the way up the top, not as clear as your SMO runway. They converge. Part of their slide, to summarize, LAX and SMO are separated by less than 4 miles with departure tracks converged. SMO departures must be sequenced with LAX departures since the change. Delays increased operating costs amid pollutants as aircraft wait out the way, both at LAX and Santa Monica Airport. The FAA said, well, I wouldn't say the word said, implied Congressman Waxman caused the reestablishment of the 250-degree takeoff procedure for IFR piston aircraft to be halted. Is it fair to protect Santa Monica at the expense of Venice and West Los Angeles? Next. In 1989, there was an 1989, they knew that idling jets and jet blast was bad for the health of workers who were near idling jets and jet blast, and yet people lived in homes closer than that. I mean, this is in '89. This is way before the jets went all the way up and high. So homes on both sides of the runways are less than 300 feet. Next. This is a view of the Santa Monica side of the airport. Notice that the white at the end of the runway, that's the spot where the aircraft, that's where they use when they take off. There's no runway safety areas like Santa Monica tried to get. They back up to the end there. They use the whole runway. Next slide. Here's the east side. Same thing, actually 50 feet closer than the west side. They sit there, idling very close to the white there before they roll out and blast off right across the home from the likes of Virginia Arms, who's been involved with this for several years prior to this. Next slide. These are the studies that have been done around the airport. How many airports have had 7 environmental health studies in 10 years? Started out, as far as I know, in 1999, LAUSD did a health risk assessment. Red flag, increased cancer. Middle school student, Jake Block, in 2002, did a science project utilizing some pretty good equipment to check on ultrafines. But it's funny how embarrassed Santa Monica officials, particularly Airport Commission, were when this report came out because they said it couldn't be done, and yet a junior high school kid did it. In 2009, groundbreaking, UCLA Department of Atmospheric Oceanic Sciences. By the way, I want to commend Santa Monica City Council for putting on the airport commission Suzanne Paulson, who was instrumental in doing this, one of the scientists. They clearly showed the levels of pollution, monitoring it, where it was coming from. They separated from automobile traffic, freeway traffic. It was rather simple. They just took video of what was going on Bundy Drive, showed that the peaks of pollution occurred when the aircraft were idling and blasting off. They were enormous, the peaks. Next slide. We had a jet fuel toxicology expert, Mark Whitten, come out and review the situation. He was with the Air Force for 20 years. I'm not going to read this now. He basically thinks that the jet fuel is very toxic. And buffer zones should be approximately a mile from the end of the runway. Next slide. Next. The X's there mark the spots where the levels, the first X close to the runway, 1,000 times normal background level for ultrafine particles were the peaks when the aircraft were taken off and idling. And then the black carbon was 200 times normal. I made an analogy on that, next slide, using cigarettes, and Santa Monica is very good at regulating cigarettes. So if you consider one cigarette your background in a room, right? And I'm not sure that our expert here from APMD will maybe disagree with this, but it sort of gives food for thought. So instead of one cigarette, you have 1,000 cigarettes in that room for whatever the peak time is. That doesn't sound very helpful. That's equal to 5 cartons or 50 packs of cigarettes. Next. Now, California Prop 65, you can't read this, I'll read it. It's a warning at San Diego Airport. The air in and around this jet bridge sometimes contains jet exhaust, fumes from jet fuel, and exhaust from equipment used to service airplanes. Those substances contain chemicals known to the state to cause cancer, birth defects, and other reproductive harm, given pursuant to California Prop 65. Well, City of Santa Monica does not have to post those there because cities are exempt, but the observation deck up there, I personally think there needs to be warnings up there because families are bringing their children up there often. And right now, the Airport Commission did actually send to the council recommendation to voluntarily put up Prop 65 warnings, and I applaud that recommendation. Hope the council does it. Next slide. All right, next slide. So the picture here is a demonstration in the cul-de-sac where Virginia Ernst lives. It's a great shot. I think Robert took that. It shows Bill Rosendahl, Ted Lieu, and Paul Koretz, very strong fighters for what's right with this airport. I love this shot. It has so many great signs, biohazard, toxic this, no, and okay, next slide. We should all demand that our federal elected representatives make this issue a priority because in actuality, the weak link is at the federal level. They need to initiate needed legislation. I asked, we met after we met with the FAA, and graciously, Henry Waxman did allow his non-constituents in LA to meet with him in his Beverly Hills office. That's the good thing. Bad thing is nothing really came from it, you know, and he is the one who's strong in Congress. He's the one who the airport is in his district. I think he could be doing more. Now he's faced with a split between his allegiance to the city of Santa Monica and the allegiance to Venice, California. Good luck with that, Henry Waxman. But in all fairness, concerned residents against airport pollution stands willing to join in efforts to address these, continued with the local, state, and federal representatives. So final slide, or next slide, is it's high time that the city of Santa Monica and the federal government address the critical public health concerns generated from Santa Monica Airport. It's unacceptable to shift the impacts to Los Angeles neighborhoods. Above all, we want everyone to recognize, or I want to, and others, that the airport should be closed. And really, there are way too many reasons, and I have time to cover here today. Thank you for allowing me.
Thank you, Marty. Marty is a real champion. Really a champion of everything. Bill is going to introduce our next two people who are doing a joint presentation. And they are actually from Santa Monica, so they will explain to us what they're all about.
Thank you very much for this. You know, we're learning a lot, and knowledge is power. The more we know, the better off we are. One of the things Ted Lieu did so quickly was form a Senate committee that did an investigation, which we're going to have more of that later. But right now, we're blessed, frankly, with a leader in Santa Monica who truly cares about this issue and has been making a difference. It's David Gooder. He's chaired the Santa Monica Airport Commission. He's been extraordinarily engaged with the community in searching for solutions about the airport. In fact, he will talk about removing 200 feet of runway, stop selling fuel, and stop renting space to tenants. We don't want. Very interesting. David, come up and explain to us how the commission's been going, what you've been doing, and how it operates. And then after that, Jonathan Stein, who's also an attorney. Where's Jonathan? Jonathan's then going to get up and take us through some legal aspects as well. So I want to turn it over to the great commissioner. It's all yours.
We need a second note.
Thank you, Bill.
Bill,
We appreciate everything that you're doing on behalf of the community. So, actually, Jonathan and I are going to present together today. This is John Stein. He's an attorney from Santa Monica. And so I'm the chair of the Santa Monica Airport Commission, and I've been engaged in this for about a year and a half now. Okay, I'm sorry. I've been engaged in this process for about a year and a half now, and we've slowly picked our way through the agreements to figure out what the city's rights are. And I've been working with John Stein and other community leaders. We have John Fairweather from CASMAT here. Who else am I leaving out? Marty, we just heard from. And you know, the community has really come together on this issue. We've put out surveys where we've gotten over 80% responsive, and residents either want the airport closed or materially reduced. We put out petitions where we had 1,600 responses where they want the airport closed or materially reduced. And we audited the comment cards from the city's own visioning process. And again, it was an 80% desire to either have the airport closed or the operations materially reduced. So now I'm going to turn it over to John here for a second so that he can go over his graphic.
hello, thank